So let's imagine this, right? It's quiet. It's snowing outside now. And then you hear this in the distance. What the fuck is that noise?
I don't know.
Sounds like a fucking shit Christmas podcast. Check. Checklet.
Check. Checulence.
Czech Republic. Checklet. Checklet sprinkles. Sweet, that it? Go, do podcast things. You do the introduction this time.
Hello and welcome to The Master and the Noob.
I'm the master.
And I'm the noob.
That was the crappiest intro ever. Do it faster.
No. You need to do it and f*** it up like you do every time. I
don't know. Honestly, my brain's not fast enough.
Welcome to the Master and the Noob podcast.
Welcome to the Master and the Noob. Whatever. Okay, I'm over it.
Christmas episode.
Oh, yeah. Oh, right, okay. So I wanted to tell you about my Christmas jumper because I've got one there. I went to Sunderland and I went to go and get a Christmas jumper for this episode. And guess what? There was no Christmas jumpers.
Really?
Well, in my size. So there was two problems. There was no Christmas jumpers in my size, or they were Star Wars ones.
Oh,
so what I've realised is that Christmas jumpers are for weak men. So instead, I've got this. This is actually a Christmas present. Speak while I'm doing this, so it doesn't like...
That doesn't look like a Christmas jumper.
Yeah, because Christmas jumpers are...
Let's have a look. Gimps wear masks. Right, okay.
And before you think I'm saying that everyone who wears masks is a gimp, I'm not. I'm just stating the fact that gimps do wear masks. If you think that people who wear masks are gimps, that might be your projection onto it.
Yeah.
If you want to know more about that, go to that website there. I'm going to edit that in now.
You're going to hate editing that as well.
Yeah, I know.
I do like the two-tone. It's
this
pink.
Website. Of whatever. It is good, isn't it?
I like it. The lining's different.
Gimps do wear masks, though. I think I'm going to go and get a photo next to some gimps wearing masks.
Me and Dan will dress up for you.
Okay. You've got a gimp suit probably anyway, haven't you? You look like the type.
I wish.
So, I've got a thought. We need to, this time after this episode, we should wait and get some feedback because we've now got feedback of episode 2 when episode 3 is just about to go out.
Okay.
So it's like episode 3 is going to have no feedback from 2 on. And I would like to say the feedback, what people say to us. I'm tired. I'm a tired boy today.
What's the feedback?
The feedback of episode 2. What was episode 2? Was it the Jew episode?
Yeah, I think it was.
Oh, that's another thing I was going to say. Don't say Jew this time to you. Because you always say Jew and it's
You said
weird.
it?
I know I said it this time. We can't... Right. Look, Jews. Sorry, bro.
There's no Jews watching this.
Right. Yeah, so feedback off second episode. Oh, so some people have started watching it on a telly. There's at least 2 or 3 people who's watching it on a telly. And this is the other problem. Because it's been so long since that, and I've edited a whole other pod in the meantime. I forgot who they are. So I can't even say the names. So people watching it on the telly, sweet, enjoy that. And thanks for sending me the photos that I'm...
Have you not still got the messages?
If I find the photos, I'll find the photos and I'll put it on. So this guy did it. And this guy did it. And if there's a third person who did it, sweet. One guy even watched it upside down.
Really?
No. He sent us a photo upside down, but he didn't watch it upside down. Oh yeah, because it was the It's For Me episode, wasn't it?
Oh yeah.
Oh, and last episode, the one that I've just edited last night at 2 in the morning I finished it. That's why I'm knackered today and my words don't work. See? They've gone already. The words have gone.
You were editing?
Editing. Oh, yeah. Got a new segment on there called...
Unsolicited Critiques.
Unsolicited Critiques.
Yeah.
Because we sometimes like to rip people's tattoos apart. To help them. Yeah. That needs to face you, man. How many times?
Sorry.
So what's this episode about? I had ideas, of course, but
Christmas tattoos.
Christmas tattoos. I did actually think about that. I did see his Christmas tattoo once. I wonder if I could find this by Bez. He did like it was like a full sleeve. I think that got shared around quite a lot. It was awesome though. It was like a Santa. No, was it a Santa? Like a snowman. It was like an angry snowman, I think. And it was all snow stuff on it.
It's not like like snowmen are like kind of separate from Christmas. I'd say a little bit.
Why?
I don't know. It's like Santa is way more Christmassy than a snowman.
I'm sure people have Santa tattoos, right?
There will be, but like, you know, when you just see like Christmas stuff in March, and you're like, ugh.
Yeah. I think there should be a rule on Christmas stuff. When I'm king of the world, Christmas stuff is not allowed to be anywhere, no supermarket, any supermarket caught putting Christmas songs on or Christmas decorations up in November, straight to the soy mines. Which is going to be in China. All of the
employees?
Yeah.
Every single one?
No, anyone who took a part of it. We'll have like a whole whole court case about it. Anyone caught involved in putting up of Christmas decorations before December, soy mines for you. Because I'm gonna prove, when I'm king, I'm gonna prove a lot of things to the world, and one of them is that soy's bad for people and it's bad for the planet. Okay, if there is a planet.
Right. Okay. We're not getting into this. Like,
so the soy mine's gonna be in China, of course, and you're gonna have to go there. What we're gonna do, we're gonna have 7 fields. There must be massive fields because there's gonna be so many people going to the soy mines, and we're gonna have soy 1 year, then the next year we're going to start the second field on soy, and then we're going to put soy on the first field again. Then the third year we're going to go boom, soy again on there, and then we'll see how shit the soy gets and how weak the land gets. Then, to prove another point, we're going to put animals on it on the 8th year, and we're going to prove that animals can even fix soy soil, which we call soil. This is nothing. Yeah, I'm done. Yeah, none of this is to do with tattoos, by the way.
There's a little bit of your megalomania coming out there.
I'm sure I could move this onto tattoos somehow. What if there's soy in the ink?
Oh,
I bet there's soy in the ink. There better not be soy in that ink. If there's any soy in that ink, right, soy mine's for you.
Why is it, right, that it's so acceptable to get a Halloween tattoo but not a Christmas tattoo?
I don't think it's not acceptable to get a Christmas tattoo. It's just no one wants them.
It's way lamer.
It is. I think it's like because Coca-Cola made it lame, didn't they?
Because, right, Christmas used to be spooky. Like, Christmas and Halloween used to be quite similar. They used to be like... Because in the... Is that wine?
No, that's a water. I've just put it in wine bottle. Because I realised I was buying them bottles there, and I hate them. They're, like, irritating to use, where, like, there was a wine bottle there spare. And also, they were down here.
They're always greasy when I touch them.
Them ones are. I don't know why, but the wine bottle isn't.
But yeah, in the Victorian period, they used to just tell ghost stories at Christmas. That was like a tradition that isn't really a thing anymore. Like, Christmas used to be spooky.
Do you know about that story of Christmas with the mushrooms and that? That there's red and white. I know people reckon it was cola and that... Because of that cola Santa in this stupid wagon. Yes, the red and white could be the fly agaric mushroom. Then the fly agaric mushrooms literally grow on the roots of Christmas trees, and they're from the North Pole. And the reindeers also love those mushrooms. The reindeers apparently will like push the shaman out the way, the shaman who drinks this stuff, because it's still in the piss. The reindeers will push past him to get to the piss even. That's how much they bought their mushrooms. What else? Also, when the shamans would come to your little yurt to do the Christmas trip, he'd come through the roof apparently, because they're like there'll be snow up the side of your little hut or whatever. Right. It's like almost all of the Christmas stories like fit in that. So maybe Christmas is just like a mushroom trip. So take mushrooms on Christmas if you want a proper Christmas.
I think all kind of like Christmas and Halloween, you could just it's a mushroom trip. That's anything that comes from it.
Because, like even the elves. Them elves must be like just the machine elves that you see from trips.
I guess. I mean, elves are pretty like, in all cultures, little ethereal people.
They're in all the cultures, but you know what else is in all the cultures? Trips.
Yeah.
Even the Bible's like basically a like DMT trip. from trip reports. So what tattooing things we're going to talk about today? Did you like me girth chart, by the way, that I made on the last one?
Yeah.
I thought you'd like that. Because I guess you coined it.
I did. Well, what is it if not girth?
Diameter.
Only Lord
I went on Goog to try and find it. No, DuckDuckGo actually, because Goog's also, bullshit. I went on there to find like some chart like that, and the only one was Barber DTS, and I was like, Killer probably won't like it if I use their thing, and Barber probably won't like. I don't think Killer would care if I used their picture, but Barber might care if I use their picture without asking them. Right. And I could ask them, but it's a bit weird to ask them when I'm sponsored by Killer in it.
Yeah.
So I thought, I'll just make my own. How hard is it? You just go in Photoshop for 40 minutes.
Yeah, it takes a deceptively long time to do stuff like that, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Are you going to give us another number, or do you hate doing it?
I think I hate doing that. I had some ideas to talk about, but they're already gone, of course.
The most recent ones we got on here is like healed pictures.
Let me have a quick look at this bullshit then.
Pigeonholes.
Portfolio. Oh, the portfolio thing was interesting because we talked about how to set up a portfolio at a convention, wasn't it? Like if you have a book printed out. Because what was this for? Why were we talking about this?
It was like the front, middle and back thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, but why did we get onto that though?
Was it...
because the end of one of the pods ended up with like some funny joke or something. And I think ideally they should start with that and end with that and have some funny bits in the middle. Because I prefer the funny bits over the like educational bits. I like doing the educational bits though because I like teaching, and I'm also trying to teach this noob here. And everyone else is just like noob adjacent or whatever, and they're watching. And that reminded me of the portfolio. Like at a convention, ideally you want to put when you set out your book, you want like a middle page where you can always leave it at, with two like of your best pieces on. But you also want one of your best pieces at the front of the book and one of your best pieces at the end. And the point of that is people will be attracted to look at it by looking at these good pieces. Then they scroll to the front and they go, wow, this is cool. And they start looking through, and then your weaker pieces go in between. Then they get to that middle one, makes them keep wanting to look. Mm-hmm. Then they get to the end and it's like, wow, that was awesome because the last one was awesome.
Yeah.
It's like a little bit of a mind trick, I guess, but it's like for advertising, it's good. That was what. Can you go back to that page though? Because that's a very short thing to talk about.
Yeah. Because
a lot of people at conventions just like they don't know this stuff. I guess like because tattooing's kind of weird, isn't it? Like it's not necessarily like these pros at business that are doing it. It's like people who like drawing, and then they're trying to learn business at the same time, and then they just go in there and just winging it or copying things that other people do without fully understanding what it is that they're doing. There's a subtleties to things that people don't understand, and the subtleties make the biggest difference.
When I went to apply for Teesside Uni, when I did the
for art,
yeah, they had like really specific courses. Like you could do a degree in concept art, which is like so specific, or like 3D animation and stuff, and then 2D animation. They were all super specific. It seemed like a really good uni for it, but Teesside's a complete shithole. Like
I lived there for a little bit. One of my ex-girlfriends went to uni there. And we had like a flat, and my car got broke into 3 times. Once even outside of the house, underneath the streetlight.
Really?
Yeah, so like they can see, like no one's bothered. Then some guy tried to sell me my own stereo back. He's like, "Oh, I can probably get hold of that for you, mate." I'm like, "No."
God.
I refuse to give him a tenner for the thing he probably stole off me. Like, no chance.
I was in a night out there for Halloween, and like I remember just walking down the street, and there was road rage, and someone got out and got a crowbar out their boot and like started threatening.
I'm not surprised,
them, and I'm like, oh, I need to be out of here.
Oh god, that water went down my breathing hole.
What was I talking about? Oh yeah, Teesside Uni. When I went to the interview room, the guy was like, before you show us anything, show me your best piece.
Okay.
Like, show me the one you like the best or something, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, I would ask someone that.
Yeah.
If they came in. Because I like, when I do like, when people ask to be an apprentice, most of the time I'm like, I don't have the space for that, or I don't have the like energy for it. But bring your portfolio and I'll give you a critique and try and critique. And what's it called?
What?
A solicited critique. Unlike the unsolicited critiques. I'll give you a critique.
Oh, God.
Please.
Take a moment.
Please help me. and I'll help you try to make your art better, so that when you next go to a studio, you can actually probably get a job, or at least you'll be in a better position. And that's one thing I'll do. Like, they come with like 60 drawings or something. Same with the portfolio, though. I was just talking about the convention. Don't put all your stuff in. Like, put the things that you like in there. And you want like a few. I would say, I'm picking this number just literally from random, 10.
Right.
Like 10 awesome pieces is better than 60. Like, no one's scrolling. Like, you watch people at the convention and they'll go like, scroll. And then they'll play. And then often, like, they'll do like 4-page turns and then they walk off. Because they some people feel uncomfortable looking through your book. They feel like they're not allowed to touch it or whatever. It's like, that's literally what it's there for. All right, the bell. But the same with if you're going to go for an interview to be an apprentice, you don't want to take like 60 drawings. Like 10 awesome ones will be better than like loads. Is that Robson? Okay, just sit down. I'm not ready yet. Yeah, I'm just thinking about it. Right, that's all right. Don't talk to me. So taking too many drawings, it's like literally, it's just going to waste time. Like, you might as well bring, if it's for an interview for a tattoo studio, bring your best ones. Like, this is my best things I can do, and I would want to see like a selection of things. So like, I want to say that you can do outlines in real life. I don't want digital stuff. I don't really care what you can do in theory, because digital's kind of like art in theory, I think.
Yeah.
It's good for practicing, good for sketching, good for like mocking up ideas, but it shows nothing about what you can actually do in real life. You need to make it real, because tattooing's real. Like, monoline or a line that's going to like make it straight for you automatically is not going to help your tattooing.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be able to craft it with a pencil or a pen. So practice some of them. I want to see some blends. I want to see that you can use contrast in form and shape and stuff like this. And if you can't, and you come for this critique, that's just what I'm going to tell you.
Yeah.
But I don't want to hear I don't want to see 60 things. And I also don't want you to tell me that you already know the thing I'm telling you, because if you already know it, do it before you come to the piece.
I was going to ask, do you think it's better in a portfolio to show like a variety of things you can do, or like one style?
What's the portfolio for? Is this a portfolio for like a tattoo convention, or is this to get a job in a studio, or what? Or just in general?
Just in general.
Well, I think, right, why are you using a portfolio? Are you showing like your skill set to people, or are you trying to get work from it?
Trying to get work.
Trying to get work. I think it's probably better, and I might be wrong on this, it's probably better to have like a consistent one style. Although that's not what I've done, because I can't like bring myself to do that. I like too many things, and my mind just gets bored of doing one thing. But for a customer looking, they don't want to go to the guy who can do everything and get a good portrait from him. They want to go to the guy who specializes in portraits. Or they want a rose, they go to the rose guy. They want a portrait, they go to the portrait guy. They want like a cartoon thing, they go to the cartoon thing guy. But I've never really done that. I've had people say like my portfolio looks like studio's portfolio when it's just mine, but it's like,
that's a pretty good compliment.
Yeah, like I can see why it would be impressive to have that selection, but for the average person who just wants a portrait, they want to go to the specialist of that.
Yeah, who does it every day and like loves it. Yeah.
So, yeah, and then but for an apprentice portfolio, I would want you to cover some styles so I can see what you can do. Because at the beginning of an apprenticeship, it's all right being able to draw portraits, but like, you're not going to be able to tattoo them on day one.
Yeah. Maybe
someone can, but I don't think it's a good idea. I think it'd be better to like get the basics of how a machine works, like, do solid color and some blends and whatever. So that's why we work on, I say tribals are probably ideal first tattoos. Scripts are really bad first tattoos, but tribals I would say are ideal. Because like with tribal, it's just literally lines, then you color them in. And you can practice some blends up them as you like going to try and go solid.
Because it's going to be solid.
But like scripts, they're going to be, well, tribals, if you've got a nice shaped tribal, if you've never drawn one before, then like that's really hard to make look nice.
I think they're surprisingly hard to do.
Yeah, because it's basically like flow. It's flow and contrast. That's like all you've got with tribal.
Yeah.
It's like flow, contrast, lines, and like color packing. Basically, is the techniques that you're using. So it's basic, But like say a rose, you might be able to draw a nice rose and do some blends on it and stuff. But like say I've had people do roses for their early tattoos because you can always make the lines thicker if they're like crap when you first do them. Where if you try to do a script, it's really hard to fix that.
Yeah.
Portfolios. What else is there?
But would you say
I want to still talk about that, do you?
Or just a variety of things? Would be better for it to apply to a studio to show that like I can fill these positions.
Oh right, okay, yeah. So if you again, like so if you're going to back to the what is the portfolio for? If it's to go and get a job in a studio as well, yeah, like still again, I think that would be good. But I think a lot of studios would be like they kind of want to have that specialist guy situation on.
Mm-hmm.
They like the studio owner normally wants like I want you to do what you want.
Yeah.
And if I've got 5 people here who love doing dot work and it's just like whatever, if that's what you love doing, you're going to get better at the thing you love doing.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd prefer that. But some studios want like they want to be able to say, oh, we've got this guy who specializes in like black and grey portraits. If you're doing black and grey angels and demons and stuff, like most studio owners are going to go, yes, can't wait to get loads of customers. I'm going to buy a Ferrari with his money. I bet you there's been at least 3 Ferraris bought with the money from black and grey sleeve guys in the studios. Bet you. 100%.
Not even the owner doing them himself.
I know Nez has bought a Ferrari with that money before. He also bought an Aston Martin and then sprayed it with graffiti.
Really?
Yeah, I think the first day he got it. He was going to paint his house black.
Who's that?
Nez.
Nez.
The one who likes meth.
Yeah.
That's what about in the first episode.
Doesn't mind a drug, like, does he?
Oh, he's not scared of a drug, like.
Okay. So variety portfolio for studio thing. Well, I mean, it depends. It seems like
but it's even still like at a convention, people's going to come and look at your work, and I think it's a little bit to do with your work, but a lot to do with how you talk to them.
Yeah,
like they want someone who they're going to feel comfortable with. Mm-hmm. So if you're comfortable and friendly, maybe even funny, or if they don't like jokes and you're making jokes, they're not going to want to get touched by you. I had someone get offended once because I said pugs were crap. Like, I know that they're dogs and all dogs have got pure hearts and all this kind of thing, but like I was
pugs are crap.
I had like a bit of an issue with pugs because it's like they were getting inbred, and it's kind of like at the time, I know they're probably about 20 grand now, but at the time they were like 800 quid and that was expensive for a dog. And it's like, the pug that can't breathe and its eyes are like almost hanging out. That one's like 795 quid because it's broken. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
but like, it's almost full price. And they're like, oh, I rescued him. Well, you didn't rescue him. You made that guy get money for doing this, so he's going to want to make more for them. He doesn't care. If you were just like, well, that one's horrible, you should kill it, then he's going to be like, what? I can't get rid of these crap pugs.
Yeah.
But people, they have nice hearts and that. They want to do a good thing, even if it's misguided. Like vegans.
Oh God, back to this.
No, I'm not going to go back to that. Not this. Oh, JJ's not even vegan anymore.
Who's
like that? JJ, the guy who said on the first, we've mentioned him on like every episode I think so far.
There's too many
one who was on the telly.
Artists.
You need to just start like listening to me, bro. The one who was on the telly, who was a vegan. He's not a vegan now.
All right.
But he reckons he's went carnivore now, and he reckons he's tired from it, so he's going to go back to like vegetarian in the new year or something like that.
2 weeks or something.
Tried for 2 weeks, didn't get enough electrolytes, didn't get enough fat, just like everyone does. There's an adaptation period, bruh. Just come and speak to your dad. Come and speak to your dad about it and I'll give you the right information so that you can actually heal yourself instead. You've got to get some meat stocks in there. You've got to get some bone broth in there. You've got to heal your gut. You've got to get enough fuel for your brain, cholesterols and stuff. Just have a raw... Oh, I also sent him that video of a raw egg. If you haven't seen my video of a raw egg, here it is. Just in case you don't believe me about the eggs, right? You can just take them and crack it on your tooth and suck it out. Just like that. Or if you're not a f***ing total soft cunt, you can also just f***ing eat them. It's like I also put that on Facebook saying, like this used to be a saying. You don't have to teach your nana to suck raw eggs or your grandma to suck to suck an egg. Like teaching your grandma to suck an egg. When now you have to because now they won't.
Because all nanas from that generation's all like margarine nanas.
Yeah, exactly. Because they took the margarine pill. The marge pill, yeah. So that's also a tutorial. You can go back to that bit in the video. In fact, why not? Let's just watch it again.
What? The
That's
eggs?
the egg video.
Don't play it twice.
That's a tutorial for your grandma. Teach her how to suck eggs so she can heal her dementia and actually remember who you are instead of just calling you Johnny from the war or whatever.
Speaking of healing.
Go on then. Oh, you're going to have some chocolate. That's not good for you at all. What else were we talking about? What's that say there? Down syndrome. Imposter syndrome. I thought you were just talking about you. I thought you'd wrote a bit about yourself.
You just brought us here to laugh at us because I've got Down syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Why do we write that down? Because you just write down the titles and then don't put any elaboration on it.
It's pretty obvious what imposter syndrome is.
So why did we write it down though? There was probably like some reason to write it down.
I think it was because I don't know if I feel bad for mentioning the person.
Well, just mention them and we'll block them out if it's too offensive.
It was the girl I was tattooing, Phoebe. Yeah, I tattooed the YOLO onto her.
Oh, right,
and she said she was a junior artist, but she's been doing it for 4 years.
Oh, right, okay.
And I said I don't think I'd consider myself a junior for that long.
Well, like, I don't think the title really matters, but yeah, there is, yeah, okay, because we talked about imposter syndrome for that, isn't it? Like, people think that they don't deserve the thing, or they think that they're not good enough to do a thing. I think, honestly, it's always based on, or often based on, not taking enough risks. Like, I think you have to take risks. You have to be willing to make a mistake to grow or get better at anything. Like, I've took a lot of risks in my life, but in this industry as well. Like, I'm just like say at London Convention, I showed you that Johnny Cash one, didn't I? It's like, I was doing portraits a lot, and I'm at London Convention, and someone's booked in for Johnny Cash, and I didn't take my printer because I forgot, I guess. I normally just take the printer, but I didn't this time. Mm-hmm. Then I'm like, oh God, I'll just go and queue up for the printer. And I see there's like 20 people in the queue because London's like massive convention. And all these like artists, they're awesome artists if they work in London Convention basically, but like they're there at the print waiting for this printer because they have to print this thing off so they can sit and copy it all day long. And it's like, that's so lame. Like, I was being impatient, I was being lazy, and I'm like watching them and I'm just thinking, this is so lame. These are supposed to be artists. Just draw it on. Mm-hmm. Then I'm like, who are you saying that to? Like, while I'm in the queue, I'm like, yeah, me. I'm saying that to me. Let's go and draw it on. So I go back to my booth and I just drew it on instead. And like, honestly, it looks like I'm showing off at the show, but it was literally laziness because I couldn't be asked to wait in the queue. So I just started like drawing the thing on with a pen. And again, like, these things happen when I take these risks. What ends up happening is there's a massive queue of people like, wow, look at this guy's drawing it on. Mm-hmm. Wow, he's an actual artist, not just a copier. So I'm like actually drawing this thing on. And then once you start, like once you get the basics down, it's like you might as well have had a stencil anyway. I think what it was, I think I'd printed it off, but it was too small for the leg. And that's what I'm saying. I'm not going to just put it on the wrong size just because I've printed it off once and I'm wrong and I'm at a convention. I'd rather make it the right size. So I've made it the right size and I wrote cash up it. That way or that way, I don't know. I'll put the picture up. And I'm like, then I've got to like draw this font. At the same, I didn't have the font reference there. I just didn't really want to do that much hair. And I wanted to make it like a bit faster to actually get it complete at the show. So I wrote like cash down it and stuff. And I had this like loads of black. And it may not be perfect. Like his proportions are slightly out. Mm-hmm. Because it was drawn rather than from a stencil, but it still looks like him. I wouldn't have done that with someone's nana.
Yeah.
But because it's Johnny Cash and he's like a famous guy, like his mum probably thinks it's shit.
Yeah, yeah.
Because she's like, his nose is not that long or whatever. But like, but because I took that risk, then I get to just own it and be like, look how good I am at this show. Like in a convention, it kind of is a little bit of a show-off thing.
Yeah.
Like that's the point of you going there to show off your work. But the thing with risks, like this is the thing, like I think Leanne Moore was telling me this because she's like an amazing artist and she's awesome at painting as well. And she's learned like some, I don't know, like I think she went to like some uni for painting.
Right.
I can't remember now because I don't listen and I should. I think she did. But she's one of the ones where uni didn't just give her loads of like hindrance, it actually helped. I don't know if she just got the right teacher, because I think that's part of it as well.
Yeah, definitely.
Like the teacher cares and she cares. But she told me, was this mine and Jason's conversation? I can't remember now. Anyway, like there's people who take risks, and them artists who take risks, and I think Leanne might be that kind of artist, where they might do one painting and it just flops, or she does something wrong on it or whatever, and it's like, cool, whatever. But then the next one just fucking nails it, and it's way better than anything anyone's doing, kind of thing. That's what happens with risks. Sometimes they flop, but when they go, like when they work, they just go so much better.
Yeah.
And this is like a thing that was with classical paintings. You see a lot of classical paintings that are amazing painters, and some of the paintings are crap. And it's because they weren't scared. They weren't trying to like appease this audience the whole time. They were just doing whatever they wanted to do. And if that involves an experiment, and I think that's part of an experiment, and I've experimented a lot. I like want to try, what happens if we do a tattoo twice? What if we go over the whole thing, even though it looks like it's good, and it turns out way better the second time? You can get like way extra details in the second time. I'll put up that cat, actually. It's not finished yet. It's this cat here. That's one of the references I use. I use like five or six different references just to get different lighting setups and different like shapes, different angles of the cat, so I can see what the cat's actually like in real life.
Yeah.
So I can make it in my head, so then I can apply that to this one reference, which may not have the perfect lighting. And this is the first session. And then a second layer of details over it. Looks like that. And then a third layer of details. Isn't done yet. But here's another cat that I did. And that one's 3 sessions. And 3 sessions of layering. Because with that layering thing, you can get it to look so much better. Like a crazy amount better. And it still looks really good healed, that one. He sent us a photo of it healed. You've seen that one on the guy's leg. The big, like it's massive as well.
Is it like a stylized or is it like a realistic?
Not realistic, like similar to that. But the other one, the first one I showed isn't finished. That's still got like it's not even finished colouring in, but I've got like the base colours down. Then I've put the details over the top. Then the next session we'll be tightening some more things up. If some things drop out, I can put them back in, make it a little bit darker if it needs to be. I can lighten some bits if it needs to be as well, because that's another thing you can do. You can this is where my experiment went with the 2 layers thing. You can literally do solid black on someone, as solid as you can possibly get it. Let that heal. Then when they come back, if you go black over the top of that, when that heals, that 2-bit will be darker than the 1-bit. And I think that works because the body doesn't care how the picture looks when it's healed. It's just trying to get this hole closed up in the body.
Yeah.
And it doesn't really want ink in it, so it's trying to take the ink away, so it fades. Like after every session fades. So 2 sessions of doing black, it's going to be darker than 1. But I learned that by doing experiments. And then, like people without their nipples coloured in on tattoos if they do a massive piece. And I'm just like, mate, I did this one on Chris, this big skull thing. And I'm like, mate, right, do you want the nipples coloured in black or what? Because I think when people don't get the nipples coloured in, it looks like...
it draws attention to them so much.
Yeah, it looks like they've got like a t-shirt with holes cut in.
Yeah.
So, do you want the nipples coloured in black? And he's like, yeah, let's do it. So I'm like, okay. And I know one thing about colouring things in is, the moles. When people have moles, I've always heard that you shouldn't colour moles in because... if they turn dark later on, that could be a sign of cancer or something like this.
Oh, and you wouldn't be able to tell.
Yeah, and you wouldn't be able to tell. But have you got a mole chart? It's just update your mole chart. Oh, this one's blue now. It used to be like a value of 6 and it was brown. Now it's a value of 7 and it's blue. If it goes to a value of 8 and it's blue, then yeah, you might have cancer. But just don't eat fucking crunchy bits and whispers and you'll be fine.
I don't have mole cancer, man.
Not yet. But there's a fast way to get it and you're eating them right now.
See the one where you coloured his nipples in and you didn't need to?
Yes. Yeah. Again, that was another convention, like showing off at a convention. Because I thought... Again, I'm analysing stuff when I go to these places and I want to do experiments. So I'm going to the convention and being like, right, what's everyone doing? They do portraits. That was really popular at the time. And it's like, when I'm walking around, I see stencil on almost every stage. Then you go around and it's like, oh, that one's finished a chin so far. Then someone else has finished a chin. Oh, one guy's on the lips. Wow, that's cool. But it looks shit. Like, it looks shit. Like, if you're working from the bottom going up like that, it's just like, wow. And like by 6 o'clock, when people are starting to finish up their portraits, there's some awesome portraits there, but all the customers have gone home.
Yeah.
Because they're like not that interested in looking at like tattoos get built like that. So I'm like, what could you do differently? And I'm like, what if I have something that looks awesome already? And I'm working on that, and then I make it look even better by the end of the day for the people who did stay. And this is as I was experimenting with this multiple layers thing. So I had Chris's whole torso looking pretty good by then. And yeah, I did another session on that. So it's like straight away, I was thinking like, oh, people are going to think I'm just showing off and stuff. You know, I thought it might be a little bit like, they might be like, oh, look at this guy. But what actually happened was he took his shirt off, and immediately everyone who was walking past just stopped, and they were like, came to the booth, and they were like, whoa, look at this. Like, can I take a photo, mate? Can I take a photo? And it's just like,
no way.
Like, yeah, like people taking photos. Then when that crowd would like move, it would be replaced by another crowd of people who were all just as fascinated. Then we started tattooing it, and it's like people are going like, oh, here it is, mate. And they come back with their mate to show them this tattoo that they've seen. It's like, mine's the most interesting booth of the show. That's all of a sudden.
Yeah.
And then it's like I'm colouring in, and I'm going da-da-da, and then it's like I'm colouring his nipple in. And to colour the nipple in, you've got to, like, it's literally, you've got to go along, then up, then along, then back down and that. And they don't stay black easily. So, like, one of them I'd done, like, 4 times, and I'd got that to stay properly solid black, finally, after 4 sessions. And the other one I'd only done, like, 3 sessions on. So I started colouring his nipple in that needed more work doing onto it. And he was f***ing brutal, Chris. He had like scars on his face and stuff where he's had been in fights where people have brought knives or razor blades. In multiple sessions of that as well. He's had that more than once in his life.
Oh God!
He grew up in like the roughest part of Washington, I think. But he's cool. But yeah, he doesn't even show pain, so he's sitting there like like this machine, and I'm just f***ing hammering his nipples. And people are like, fuck, look at this, mate, come here. And it's like they're getting the mate to come back and look at this. Fucking, they're going, fuck, what? So yeah, I coloured his nipple in. Then I kind of waited until that crowd had like dissipated again and had been replaced by a new crowd of fresh people. And I'm moving around. I'm doing like textures and stuff all over this skull. And then like, I'm like, I think I need to do the other nipple. So I'm like, Chris, I'm going to do your other nipple. He's like, I know, mate. And I'm like, it doesn't even need doing either. He's like, I know, mate. So that's how game he was. He was up for me doing like an extra session on his nipple he didn't even need, just for the crowd. But then after that, he's walking around like the convention and he couldn't even keep his top on. He'd literally put it back on and someone would be like, oh, there's the guy, mate. Will you take your shirt off and show me, mate? Or can I take a photo of your tattoo? And he's just like, yeah. I think he loved it though.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really good. Because I took a almost finished tattoo to the show. And I don't think that's a mega risk, that one. I thought the risk was that I might look like I'm trying to show off. But literally, you're paying like 500 or 600 quid to work this show. Like, show off.
Yeah.
It's the point of going. Like, there's a lot of humbleness in the tattoo industry. There's a lot of humble bragging and fake humbleness in the tattoo industry. A lot of that.
Is there?
Yeah. There's some amazing artists who are like extra humble. But they're known as this extra humble guy. And you know that they fucking know they're awesome.
Well, how do you go about it then? You just own that you're awesome.
Yeah, honestly, I think it's just own you. Just be you and just do that.
Yeah.
So if you are a humble person, like, I guess, don't be lame. Don't be lame. Being humble's lame. There's a limit, obviously. I think the real humble people will joke and pretend they're like not humble. I think that's my crack. I think I am really kind of humble in a way.
Yeah.
But I do like to joke about this a lot. But you know, like I can have this jokey conversation about this and tell everyone that I'm the best ever. And then I can immediately go into a serious conversation of how I know where my weaknesses are. I know where my strengths are. I'm very aware of who I am. I think be aware of who you are and just be that, isn't it, really?
With art, there's kind of like a corrupted humbleness where like people, they can't take compliments. Where it's like, oh, that's pretty good.
Is that imposter syndrome again, though?
I reckon that definitely factors into imposter syndrome. But like, you'll do something, it doesn't have to be tattooing, but just art, and someone goes like, "Oh, that's mint," and you're like, "I don't like, no."
Yeah, like in that case, just say thanks.
Yeah.
Just say thanks. Don't go like, oh, I don't really like this line on the top. And then they're going to be like, why are you so insecure? Like, I wanted to come and get tattooed by you until you were so insecure about it. Like, why do you care about this one line? And from manifestation points, to come back to the spooky stuff that we have to every time, if you're focusing on the negative bit of your tattoo, you're going to do it negative next time.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, like I've seen that like destroy so many people where like their work's getting better and better and better every tattoo, and they're just focusing on this negative point every time. So they end up thinking they're shit. Even though they're getting way better, if like old them could see now them, they'd be like, wow, I'd love to be able to do that. Yeah. But now that they can do it, they hold themselves back because they're like judging themselves too hard.
That's why you always keep your old art.
Keep your old art and then look at it and tell yourself how fucking good you are now. But I think that's like being what's that word I just said there? Like observant, realistic. What am I saying?
Humble? Not humble.
Not humble. God, I'm gonna have to do this thing again.
Did you just say it?
I just said it, yeah, I think.
I don't know. Insecure?
Nope. We'll cut out this bit. We'll cut back when I've figured out what word I'm saying. And we're back. Being objective about it. Like, there is mistakes, there is negatives, and there is positives. So what people tend to do is maybe acknowledge the positive, or they don't even acknowledge the positive and focus on the negative. But if you can stay objective about it, you can acknowledge the negative and focus on the positive. Like, then you go like, okay, so I know that I did this and this. So next time, that's my mission for next time, to make them better. But this is f***ing cool. Yeah. And it's like, I can't believe how I've just made this. Then you go into the next tattoo feeling great. Because you're like, right, okay, so I did that awesome piece last time, and I've got to remember that to say one of my things. I used to look at I had a Nokia N95, like when they first started putting cameras on phones. And it was like crap camera, honestly. So on a night though, I'd take a photo of a tattoo, and then on a night I'd sit there at home like scrolling and zooming right in until the lines were like this fat on the screen. And I found that like it looked cool, like the thing looked cool and people liked it and stuff. But when I zoomed in, I found that the line didn't join the other line. There's a little gap. And I'm like, what?
Oh, really?
How did I even leave that gap? It's like I didn't even notice that on the piece. Like I couldn't see it. But when I zoomed in, I could see it. So I'm like, right, okay, sweet. But like this is your choice there. Some people would focus on like, oh, I can't believe I've never joined that line up. Like that customer loved it. They didn't care. They don't know. And to be honest, if it spreads, it's probably going to like join itself up anyway. But yeah, so when I'm on the next tattoo, I'm like, right, so I must join them lines up because of how good it looked before. Imagine how extra good it's going to look if I actually join the lines up properly. It's going to look just a little bit neater. And this comes back to something I was saying earlier on about the little details. There's a Mike DeVries book that I've got somewhere. I'll see if I can find that. I think it's called Let's Be Realistic. He's a portrait artist from America somewhere, and he's really good. He was like the best at it at that time, and he probably still is.
Artist
up
or
there
tattoo
like
artist?
Tattoo artist. I think he paints as well.
Yeah.
There was like for portrait artists, there was three really big names at the time. It was Nico Tado, Mike DeVries, and Cecil Porter was like quite like popular for it. Joshua Carlton also. There was like a few like really big artists, like, and they're all really good now still, of course. But Mike's book, I bought that book. And it says the big trick is knowing all of the little tricks.
Right.
And I don't know if it's his quote. That's where I first heard it. But that's the thing. You know, like the thing that makes your tattoos look so much better isn't that one big thing that you did. It's all the little tiny bits mixed together. So it's like making sure them lines are joined up, making sure the lines are consistent, making sure the blend's smooth, even if it's a little tiny detail at the bottom left corner. Because not everyone understands lighting or form or shape or... You know, they don't understand all the processes that we're doing. Yeah. But they can still tell that, like, one tattoo looks better than another tattoo. Even if they don't know why. They can still tell that it does.
Yeah.
So our job is to know why and do that to them.
I think it's easy to, like, think you know it as well. Like, there's this, like, drawn in symbols was, like, a thing that you need to unlearn.
Drawn in symbols? What do you mean?
In symbols. It's like...
Or like drawing a nose.
You just go like...
Yeah, because you've got like this idea of what a nose looks like, so you try and draw this nose every time. So it's like, even if that's not what it looks like, you're drawing this like weird nose because you learned it when you were 3 or 5.
Yeah, and like if you draw lips, you do like lines around them, but lips don't have lines around them. You need to draw like the suggestion of lips, and it's
yeah, you need to look at. So I know you're saying drawn in shapes. You shouldn't draw in shapes, because I was learning that as you should draw in shapes.
It depends on what you're doing, really.
Because I'm like saying doing a nose or an ear or lips or whatever, because they're kind of like hard things to draw if you're doing it that way. If you think you've got to draw this outline that's the shape of a nose, no wonder it always looks wrong, because noses don't have outlines on.
Yeah.
Like if you're going to do an outline on a face, it's more likely going to be the outside of the face, because that technically does have a hard line. Or if you look at the nose from the side, then there is like something you can outline. But this way on, there's not really an outline there. It's hard to choose where to put outlines if you're going to stylize it. But it's made up of shapes of colour. So if you do like a shape that, you just ignore it and follow this shape here, then this shape here, and put this colour there and this colour, it's going to look like a nose when you're finished.
Yeah.
A good technique for that, though, if you're trying to draw these things, is turn it upside down. Because if you turn it upside down, it no longer looks like a nose. You're not trying to draw a nose. You're just trying to draw the shapes that you see, and then it's going to look like that. Because I think like doing realistic drawings is helpful.
Yeah.
Like doing drawings from reference is helpful as well, before you stylize. Because if you learn it from real life, you're going to be able to stylize it way better.
You need to know what things look like, before you stylize stuff. You can't just go, and that's like the thing with kids, isn't it? Because I mean, I wanted to draw like anime and cartoons at first, and my art teacher did tell us like you're gonna have to learn how to draw real people first before you can do this. And I was like, whatever. And then eventually I was like, oh yeah, you actually have to.
I think this being an objective thing, like, and not trying to lie to yourself and not trying to like pretend anything, and being honest. But like I say, focusing on the good parts and acknowledging the negative parts, it kills imposter syndrome, I think. This is why I don't think I'll ever really get it, because like I'm looking at my stuff objectively. I know where I am.
Yeah.
Like when I would see like comments, because here's another weird thing to like, we've talked about this before. We've got a friend who like really, really gets like hurt by negative comments. And honestly, I looked at the last podcast yesterday. We've got 100% like to dislike ratio so far. And that just means, like, literally all that means to me is it's not reached the wider group of people yet. Yeah. Like, when you start getting dislikes on, that means you're starting to make something of it. Like, it's not anything to do with the quality of it. It's literally just, it's reached that next, like, tier. It's like mushroom spores growing outwards. When it finally gets to here, you're going to get to the people who aren't into it and have clicked for some reason or whatever. And I would never take it negatively. Like, a negative comment doesn't mean anything other than that, like, you've now reached, like, this extra people. You know, it's moving. What was I saying that?
It's because, like, if you know yourself, you don't let either...
Oh, yeah, what I was going to say is, so this friend, she takes, like, critique really bad. Like, if a negative comment, like, really, really hard, and she's really hard on herself about it, and it breaks her a lot, and she'll be like depressed for like 3 days after getting a negative comment. But when she gets a positive comment, she's buzzing for the same amount of time.
Yeah.
So when she's came in here talking about this, this negative comment, I'm like, mate, just stop looking at it. Don't care about that. It means this other thing. But when she gets a good comment, she's like, oh, look at this. This guy said this thing. And I'm just like, look, you can't care about this. You can't put so much like hope into this good comment. Like, if you care about this good comment, that means the bad one has the power as well.
The same amount. Like,
so if you're objective about it though, and someone says like, wow, this is the shittest tattoo ever, and you know where your tattoo is. Say if there was a scale of this is the worst tattoo, this is the best, and you're here, and someone says you're the worst, you go like, well, I'm not, because I'm there. They just mustn't know what they're talking about.
Yeah.
But then also, if someone says, wow, this is the best tattoo I've ever seen, well, you're like, it might be the best you've ever seen, but actually it's here because the best's there.
Yeah.
So if you're objective, like, they can't knock you off where you are if you know where you are. If you know who you are and where you are, you can't really, like, be knocked.
Yeah.
They can try.
It's harder for, like, baby artists, though, I think, when they're, like, you get to a certain level and then you kind of stop. But, like, I feel like when you start doing art, or, like, you've been doing it for, like, maybe a year or two, you're more susceptible to that kind of thing.
Well, I think it's like, yeah, it will be that.
Well, was anyway.
It's that, but it's also just ego as well. Like, it's part of the ego. Like, it cares about this stuff. And by the way, art isn't just drawing. art's everything. All them people who say like, I love this, I wish I could do that. You can. You just haven't tried it, or you don't love it enough, or you're holding yourself back.
Yeah.
And people think they're not artistic. You definitely are, because all humans are. You just might have your art in fixing cars, or being a nurse, or a midwife, or a child carer, or a teacher, or any of that. It's all art. And if you care about it, you'll get better at the thing. Like playing the piano is just as much art as drawing, as just as much as raising kids. There's an art to raising kids. And someone who cares about it and is willing to be objective about it and know where they are, rather than having the ego thing of like, because I shut a kid out once, I know exactly everything to do with kids.
Yeah.
Like that's like, I've done a drawing once, so I know everything about drawings. It's the same, you know. But I know it's a big responsibility, and I get that. But like, you know,
you don't like download it as soon as you have a kid.
Exactly, yeah. Did a tattoo once, so now I know everything about tattoos. But also thinking you know everything about tattoos just stops you in your tracks as well. Like I've seen that with people like where they think they're looking at the people behind them. I see like there's like two ways to look, right? There's like the people who are better than you and the people who are worse. And I see that like a hill. And I'm always looking up the hill because that's where I want to go. So I'll occasionally check behind to see like, okay, cool, I've progressed. Then this is where I want to aim for still. But there's a lot of people who are just standing looking down the hill going like, my minions, I am so much better than you all. And it's like everyone's walking off up here.
Yeah.
And they're just like, no, I am the best in this town. And then all of a sudden some guy comes into this town who's way better, and they're just like, what the f*** is this guy doing, you know?
They just walked past him and didn't even look at him.
Yeah, because he just thought he was nothing. This is again ego-based though, because I see like you can learn from anyone as well. I've seen it so many times at conventions where like when I was this guy, when I had the 1% of the knowledge, and the guys who had like 80% of the knowledge like are like holding it back.
Right.
Or they're being weird about it, or they won't listen to you. Like I'm not trying to just force my 1% of knowledge on there, you know what I mean? But they never like give you the time of day. Not all of them, but like some of them don't. But the best ones do. The best artists would talk to anyone, because you can see it. Obviously, like is it an analogy or whatever? You can imagine like the 99% guy. He's got 99% of the knowledge, but if his ego won't let him listen to the guy who's only got 1%, what if he's got that 1% you're missing?
Yeah.
There's always that chance. I've learned so much from people who don't know what they're doing. Like I was like, walking to conventions, being objective and looking at people going, right, okay, so what's he doing there? Right, okay, I like this way that he's doing that. Then it's like, oh, that seems weird. That bit seems weird, and I wonder if it's because of this. Then I go and look at someone else who's better, and it's like, oh, so he's doing that thing different to that guy, and his work's better. But he's also doing that same thing as that guy on that bit that's good, and it's like, okay, so that's a consistent. So I'm like, I'll do both of those things then. Yes. Conventions are good, though. I think they're really good for getting your name out and stuff. Like as I was editing that last podcast and talking about like the things with Brent and like traveling and stuff like that, I was remembering. And talking about the purple glove thing and that with Andy and JJ and stuff. Remembering like what conventions were actually about.
Yeah.
Because I'd forgot that at some point. At some point, I thought I was just working them because I had to. But going there and like messing around with your mates and stuff and having a great time and then doing some cool tattoos amongst it.
I can't wait to go to a convention.
Oh, they're going to be good, like. I think you need to get drunk at them to, like, enjoy them fully. Because a lot of them ones when I was being a dick, I was, drunk every time. Not while I was tattooing or anything, but on the nights, you know what I mean, when we're, wearing them fucking wrestler masks and that.
Yeah.
Is that all? Because I think we should say a funny thing before we end.
We don't have to.
Jew! No, we can't say Jew. I'm going to actually block that last one out. I might not block them other ones out.
I don't know what. I don't know. The fucking Jew thing, man.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we'll end it there.
Okay.
Will we end it there? Yeah, we'll end it there. That's it.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.